All right, good. Like I said, it was great to finally get out on the practice field and coach football and the details of it, and because it seems like it's been yesterday since we first got here, and at the same time, it seems like it's been a while. So it was good to, after going through a great off-season program, to get out there and and watch them execute some today.
Okay, we'll go to questions. Start with Ryan Aber.
Yeah, Ted, you've been in a lot of places, obviously.
That's an understatement. Yeah.
When you think about the last the 3 or 4 months leading up to this,
Yeah.
what have been the biggest differences to you in this transition versus some of the other ones that you've made?
Well, I think that number one, it's the University of Oklahoma. Okay, and you approach every opportunity with the same amount of effort, enthusiasm, commitment to what you do. But it's really, really important here, and it's obvious it's really, really important here. And it's wonderful to be at a place like that that really cares about what's happening, and also to be with the group of people that I'm with Coach Venables and the staff, the holistic development of our players, not just the football part development, but the holistic part. And that's been other places too, but I think it's very, very evident that it's about a lot of things here, including the holistic development of the young man. And also, as you do this longer, I'm not saying when or what, but you know that this doesn't go on forever. And opportunities like this don't come very often. And when they do, you got to take full advantage of them. And so it's been exciting, it's been challenging, and at the same time, I've enjoyed our staff and our group of players, getting to know them so far, and excited about the future. Sure.
Go over to the left, Eric Bailey, Tulsa World.
Good morning.
How much did the time you got to spend before spring, the 8 hours, just the time for the players to get to know you guys, how much does that help when you progress into on the field, hardcore coaching like today?
Well, I think that we spent most of the time in the off-season program with the weight room and the fourth quarter program and the things that Coach Schmidt and his staff did a wonderful job. So that's where, excuse me, that's where the majority of the time was spent, and because that was the emphasis and that was a priority. And at the same time, football was too, but from the time frame commitment standpoint, there was a lot more devoted to that than there was of the installation of the systems. So because without that foundation, you got to have that strong foundation, which was built in our fourth quarter program. But I hope that answers your question.
And I guess it kind of does. And just does it help create that chemistry and the expectations for them, for you, and you for them going into these hard workouts?
Well, I think there's a standard here at the University of Oklahoma, and there's a standard under Coach Venables, and it's up to us to defend the standard and understand the standard. And part of it, before you can defend the standard, is understanding what it is. And so as we've gone through the last couple months, that's been established and made clear, and we're on the same page now with, not that we weren't ever on the same page, but on the same page with exactly the expectation level. Sure.
Far right side, Jesse Critton, Norman transcript.
Coach,
Hey.
Just wanted to expand on that a little bit. Just obviously with Brent's defensive background, just what's that dynamic been like with him the last few weeks, and how important are these spring practices towards continuing to?
Oh my gosh, yeah. How important is spring practice? Really, 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 really important. And Coach Venables, has been a defensive coordinator for a long time and has been the gold standard and the best in the country. And but now he's the head coach, and he's got his hand on every aspect of the program. He's not just the defensive coach; he's the head coach that has his hand on every aspect of our program. And so that's how that goes. But at the same time, to have a resource like him to be able to talk with and counsel with and just talk ball and ideas, that's wonderful. It's like if you're having a problem putting, all right, and Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus live next door to you, you're going to go ask them how to putt, right? Yeah, you're not just going to watch them go out and see all those championship trophies, and you're going to use your resources. And certainly, like I said, he's involved in every aspect of our program, and he's a fantastic resource.
Bob Brisbilla, Sooner Scoop.
Yeah. Ted, player trying to get to know you, you're trying to get to know the players. So what's that leadership process like, trying to identify those guys? And has anyone stepped up here. I know it's incredibly early.
Yes, it is incredibly early. You're exactly right. But as far as this identifying, yeah, there's some guys that have kind of stood out. I don't want to get into who they are, but you know, part of leadership when you have a player-driven team is helping develop that leadership, all right, and then giving them a chance to lead. Because to develop it, not putting somebody in position to allow them to do that, you know. But at the same time, there's got to be, as coaches, we're like the the gutter guards at the bowling alley, right? They bowl that, and you want that ball to stay in that lane. And as coaches, we're like those bumpers that come up to help keep the ball going down the lane to strike the pin. So, yeah.
Okay, we'll go to James Hale on the far right, CBS Sports Radio.
Coach, obviously your defense is different than Alex Grinch's. Could you talk about the install this spring, and can you get it in this spring, and how difficult or how easy that is? And also, your linebackers make the calls, and so how much is on them trying to all get it together and make everything happen in there?
Well, to your first question, we're very multiple. We're going to do the things that we did at Clemson, but you're always looking to evolve and learn from other people, and so we're going to be very multiple. But at the same time, every year you evolve and you try and get better, because that's part of the deal. We ask our players is to be in a constant strive to improve. As coaches, we got to do the same thing. So, excuse me, from that aspect, yeah, we're going to be very multiple and always looking to improve with different wrinkles. As far as comparing our scheme to the last staff scheme, I'm not going to do that. They won a lot of football games here, and what we're worried about is doing what we do and making us the absolute best on how we do it.
And your linebackers making the calls, is that?
Yeah, and in every defense, most of the linebackers make the calls, so it's not really different than it is a lot of places as far as that, because again, they're involved in both the run fits, the blitzes, the coverages, so they're tied into everything. So they have to make the call, and we have to be really good communicators. Sure.
Come to this side, Brandon Drum with OU Insider.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, buddy.
You, obviously, your son's on the team. What's that like getting out there today, just kind of getting to coach him, I guess? Was this the first time you've gotten to coach him since he's been in college?
No.
No?
No, I had.
But since I guess he was at App State, you were at Clemson special. I guess rekindle on that. What was that like?
It's special, but when we're out there, he's jersey number 18, and I'm Coach Roof. He's always my son, but when he's on the field and I'm coaching him, he's number 18. And I'm going to coach him as hard or harder than I coach anybody else. And at the same time, he enjoys that. He wants to be coached hard. But so do most of our players, and we're going to do that. We're going to be demanding but not demeaning. But as far as the opportunity to coach your son at the University of Oklahoma, that's a blessing, man. That's a real blessing.
Okay, Ryan Chapman, SI Sooners.
Over here, Coach. You mentioned earlier a bunch of stops throughout your career. What kind of experience does that bring for you as far as helping some of the younger coaches on staff along and the players through another spring install? Because you've got a ton of experience just doing that.
Yeah. Well, I think, when you've been around a lot of places, and that kind of sounds funny, been around, but I have been around to a lot of places. I think, number one, it puts it in very clear perspective when you arrive here that this is a special place, and the opportunity and the privilege and the responsibility that comes with being here. So that part of it is like you get really quickly. And so what was the second part of your question?
Just kind of your experience with so many spring installs. How
Okay.
You got a younger coaching staff.
Yeah. Well, my job as a leader is to help develop other people. There's a couple things that I get really excited about when I wake up in the morning. Number one, how can I get better? What can I do today to get myself better? Because we're all on a constant journey of improvement. And number two is how can I help other people get better? And that's part of my why as well, because I want to help other people. I want to help other people grow and develop, and at the same time, I want to improve myself as well.
Go middle, Kerry Murdoch, Sooner Scoop.
Hey, Coach, I'm curious, do you have to
or can you be flexible? Well, I mean, you're working with so many new guys that, you know, you haven't worked with. Can you be flexible position-wise, or do you have to make a decision like, we're gonna play this guy at safety, we're gonna play this guy inside, outside, you know, and just go through spring and see how that goes?
Oh, I think there's a lot of flexibility that goes, because, you know, as we, excuse me, as we learn and what, you know, because you really learn about your players when you watch them play football. You learn about their characteristics, their internal motivation, their toughness, their grit. You can do all that in the fourth quarter program, but you learn about how your players play when you watch them play. And you watch them compete and you watch them grind. And so that's always a process that's going to be an evolutionary process as we continue to go. And because in this game, when you got injuries, you got this, you're trying to develop competitive depth. So when that does happen, you know, you don't fall off the edge of the cliff when you go from playing this player to this player. So cross training is certainly a part of what we do.
And I assume if you have a player that's played more, it makes it easier to just flip them around.
Yes, it does. It does.
Maybe like a Key Lawrence or somebody like that.
Well,
Corner and say,
yeah, guys that have played and understand conceptual teaching. Once they understand concepts, then everybody can. You know, a lot of times when like some of those freshmen, that was their first college practice today, it was going really, really fast for them. And to put them in, you know, multiple positions, I wouldn't do that to them right now. Yeah.
thanks, Coach.
Sure.
Okay, on the left, second row, Mason Young.
Yeah,
Davis.
Coach. Was curious about the Tulane transfer, Jeffrey Johnson, just what you think he's going to be capable for your defense, and also Deshaun White, guy in your position group. Just what were the conversations with him like, and his decision to come back for a fifth year?
Well, number one, I think he did the right thing for himself, his family, and for our football team. I absolutely 100% think he did the right thing. So there was conversation, but you know, to walk in the door and day one you make a phone call to a kid, or you sit down with a kid that you've never met and you try to advise him on what he needs to do with the rest of his life as a complete stranger, that's different. You know, that's different. But certainly based on the information that I had heard, based on what I'd seen when I watched tape, you know, to try and give him my opinion at the start of this. So, you know, because it takes time to develop trust. That's not something that you just walk in and with decisions like that, you let a total stranger just walk into your life and tell you what to do. But you know, there were very honest conversations and open conversations with his family as well. So you know, I 100% he did the right thing. And then what was your second question?
About Jeffrey Johnson. Just
Okay, yeah. Well, number one, okay, he's a grad transfer. He's a grad transfer captain. You know, so you're putting a guy that was the captain of his football team in our locker room. You know, and there's the grad transfers, you know, when it's obvious they've got 1 year left, you know, walking in the door, in the first couple of days, it's like, okay, all right, because you're here for a reason. You're here for a reason. And with his leadership and his work ethic, he was accepted by the group immediately. Not only accepted to help, he's helped lead the group right now. So when you recruit a captain from another team, okay, and you put him in your locker room, that's usually a good thing. Usually a good thing, and in this instance, it's been a very good thing. I'm real proud of him. I'm proud of our guys, how they've accepted him. But again, that's a mutual thing. That's street cred, man. You know, you got to come in and earn that, and he has.
Any more questions for Coach? All right, thank you, Coach.
All right,
Appreciate you.
certainly.